Excellent, guys. I think we're live. I believe we're live. I'm being told we're live. Okay, guys, welcome back. I hope we're all having a good week and having a good morning so far. So we are back with where we're on week 8 of our level 1 course, where we're sort of understanding and trying to overcome some health and well-being barriers. We all face different things getting in the way of our exercise and good food, and just trying to find a way to navigate them and be able to live our lives and be happy, while at the same time not letting that have a massive sort of negative impact on our health and our well-being as well, because we kind of want the two to go hand in hand, don't we? We want to feel happy and we want to feel healthy as well at the same time, guys. So we're going to be looking at some different fitness activities and facilities this morning. So different stuff that we have available to us, because I've mentioned before, and I go on about it all the time. The gym isn't for everybody. It's very, and I mean, all gyms are different. Every single gym that I've worked in has been different, and I do think that pretty much anybody would find a gym or a coach or a studio or class instructor that sort of they would fit quite well with. But I also understand it could be quite daunting to go into a gym, especially if you are going in by yourself, especially if you're not really sure what you would do when you get there. Maybe I think the majority of people that join a gym and are looking to get fit and healthy as well kind of aren't 100% happy with where their physique and health currently is. So you might be a little bit conscious about, oh, I don't want to go in the gym. I've heard people say, look, they've come in the gym for like getting the prices and stuff like that, and said, I'll see you in a couple of months when I've lost a little bit of weight, which is always sort of thrown me a little bit, because that's what the gym is there for. But it just goes to show that there's this there's the mental side to it as well, which can make it a little bit difficult to get into as well. So overall, guys, the gym, it can be really helpful. There's a lot of different stuff you can do there. It's not just lifting weights. It's not just running on the treadmill. And there's all sorts of different fitness now. We've got the likes of CrossFit, and that's sort of find it a little bit more engaging, because it's like a whole circuit. You're doing this, then you're onto this. It feels as much like an obstacle course and a challenge as much as it feels like exercise. But other people prefer sports. It only really occurred to me recently, because I was talking about this with somebody the other day. I used to play so much football when I was younger, but I would never, ever consider it to be exercise, because I absolutely loved it and I really enjoyed it. And it's the same a little bit now with yoga and rock climbing. I enjoy it to the point where it's not really exercise and it doesn't feel like a chore. And, that's really, really helpful in getting a little bit of consistency. Because if you enjoy doing something, you're going to keep at it. You're going to keep doing it, and gradually get better. And, the more you're doing, the more you're challenging your body, the more you're going to change your body as well. Talking internally as well, we're talking about organs and, your lungs and your heart. It's not just about your muscles. It's not just about how much you weigh, far from it. It's about how healthy we are. But there's so much more out there. Even if the gym isn't for you, or you're not in a place where you fancy the gym, or feel like you could give it a try, there's so much that you could be doing that, other than nothing. I think some certain people that I've spoken to seem to have this idea that it's the gym or nothing, really. Whereas it couldn't be further from the truth. There's so much out there that we can go and do, and we're going to have a little bit of an explore of those this morning. And then I can only encourage you to go, because everybody lives in a different area. Just explore what's in the local area as well. We've got Google and Facebook and what's happening pages and local pages and stuff like that, where all of this information is. We can go on there, we can see what classes are available, how much they cost. Is there a walking group that started up after lockdown, or was there, a cycling group that you were interested in before lockdown that's now sort of come back again since restrictions have been lifted and stuff like that. There's so much going on in our communities. It's really handy to sort of keep our finger on the pulse and realize what is going on, because this time last year, we had walking. Really, we were exercising in the house, and that was assuming you had kit or knew what you were doing, or both, or we were out walking. Whereas now, once we've had almost another full year of sitting at home, being in lockdown under restrictions, not being able to do things like swimming, going to the gym. There was times where we couldn't meet up with other people outside and stuff like that, So now we've got this, all of these options are available to us again. And, now's the perfect time to be thinking about our fitness, because we're out of lockdown, which, I'm sure has had some kind of impact on most people's health in one way or another. And I can't believe that we're talking about it, but Christmas is 2 months away. So December is what, 6 weeks, 5 weeks maybe. So we're getting around to that time of year as well, where the quality streets come out, the mince pies come out. We're going to have a couple of drinks with friends and family, and again, enjoy ourselves. That is part of that's part of it. That's part of this fitness journey, understanding how we can still enjoy ourselves, and it's not so restrictive that we can't actually do the things that we want to do, because there's one way to sicken yourself off a diet or an exercise plan if it's stopping you doing stuff that you enjoy, so all it is moderation. So in order to be able to have the things that we enjoy a little bit more, we need to be getting a little bit of exercise in there as well, and sort of countering out that equation where, because there's more calories coming in, there needs to be more calories going out. Otherwise, those calories get essentially turned to fat and will just get stored in your body. So lots and lots of reasons that, now's a really good time to be thinking about our fitness, getting active, getting into a bit of a routine before we get towards that point. And again, maybe after the last 18 months, you're thinking to yourself, oh, New Year's resolution, I'm going to get fit and active. Why not start now and have 9-10 weeks head start? So when January comes around and everybody's getting into their new routines and they're getting up in the morning to do their exercise, it's pitch black and stuff like that, you'll be in a routine, So really, really good time to be thinking about, okay, that's what is available to me, what's going on locally, and how can I get a little bit more movement and activity into my week, really, and into my life in general. So let's get into it then, guys. So I'll be, as always, following along the chat on my phone. I'll just keep an eye on that. And then I guess just before we do dive in, just pointing out the little description box under the video again, like I always do. Any extra information that you're going to need in there, guys. We've got our link to our workbook, which I'll give us a little bit more rundown on towards the end of the session, because we've got a new workbook to start on. My email address is in there, as always, if you need it to get in touch. Today's workout video, which is just it's like a core session, no arms, no upper body, no lower body, it's all core, and thinking about that core strength and not just abs, all of those important core muscles as well. So definitely check that out, guys. And then as always, we've got a little link to the survey to just give a little bit of feedback on today's session as well. As always, that feedback's really important to us, and it helps us actually complete some paperwork on this end on your behalf as well. So please don't forget to do that survey, guys. If you click the link, it'll take you straight to where you need to be. Put your answers onto there, and then it'll come straight back to us. Yeah, so you don't need to worry about downloading it, filling it in, sending it back and all of that, yeah. So hopefully, we're getting into the swing of things. We're doing surveys and stuff now. Hopefully, we're keeping on top of booklets and stuff like that. Like I say, again, my email is in there if you need to drop me a message for anything. Like I say, any workbooks that you haven't got, or anything that you're struggling with, for sure. Supplementary learner info is in there. So there's a link to our Google Drive that'll take you to all of that extra information that you might need. And of course, links to our social media is in there as well. You're talking Facebook, Twitter, Insta, and LinkedIn as well. So if you want to follow us on any of those, that is all in the description below the video. And with that said, let's get cracking. So we've got a little crossword to start us off, actually, and just sort of like I say, get our minds working, get our heads into the right sort of mind space for the day. And we're going to be thinking about, like I say, different activities, it could be different exercises, different sports, like I say, just different activities that get us moving and help us get a little bit of exercise, help us, look after our joints, get our heart pumping, help get our lungs working, and get those muscles engaged as well. So there's so much choice, guys. I mean, what have we got here? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 different things here alone that we can do for exercise and movement, you know. So it's not just the gym or nothing, you know. So I'll just give you a few minutes. Actually, we'll have 5 minutes or so, and you guys, like I say, just go through and work out as many as you can, even if you just go from the just from the clues. Like I say, we'll have 5 minutes or so. See how many of these we can break down. See if any of them surprise you. You know, as sort of legitimate forms of exercise, or if there's any that you would expect to be on there that you're not seeing, or that isn't there as well. So crack on with that, guys. Try and have, like I say, try and, even if we can just get a couple of them, you know. So we've got, just in case we can't, in fact, I'm going to zoom in just in case we can't see those. So this is where Rob's technical ability comes in. View, that'll be the one. There we go, guys. Cool. So we've got, for our clues, running a crossword. See if I can get it so we can still see the crossword as well at the same time. Okay, so 6 across, lifting heavy weights. Yeah, so lifting heavy weights. What would we call that? 8 across, sport that's played with 2 teams with 11 players on each team. 9 across includes breaststroke, front crawl, or butterfly. So it's an activity that includes those 3 types, or those 3 names. 10 across, 7 players. Each player has their own position, and you're not allowed to walk with the ball. Yeah, so that was 10 across. So this one here. What we got then? 7 letters for that one, guys. 7 letters. No walking with the ball. 7 players, each with their own position. And then the down over clues that we've got. Number 1 is a bit like walking, but a lot faster. Yeah, so down there. Number 2, you can score 3 points if you shoot from far away. Number 3 is exercising on a bike. Number 4 includes Latin, salsa, and ballet. Number 5 down is a stationary bike fitness class. 6, 1 foot in front of the other. You can usually cover 3 miles in an hour on average. 7 down, you need an oval-shaped ball to play this sport. And 11 down, a small green ball, 2 rackets, sometimes played on grass. Yeah, so we've got 12. Is it 12? It's 12. Yeah, cool. Right, guys, so let's see how many of those we can get. Okay, I'm going to come back out to my regular view. So hopefully you can see the clues and the grid at the same time. So a couple more minutes, guys. See how many of these we can get, then we'll start breaking them down. Let's see. In fact, there we go. That's about the best fit that we're going to get, I think. Okay, guys. So 6 across. So if you are following along in the chat, then as always, just chuck the answers out into the chat if you want to. If you want a little bit more time to try and get your last couple of answers, then by all means, just sort of pause it here and just, you know, press play and catch up when you're done. You know, if you're like 1 or 2 away and you really want to get those last couple. And then, like I say, just get caught up whenever you can, or whenever you're ready. So we'll start breaking these down and have a little talk about each of these as we're going through. So 6 across, lifting heavy weights. We've got weightlifting. Yeah, so if it's so we're thinking generally you're thinking sort of like a barbell, so the long bar with a weight on each side, where you might do like an overhead push, or you might have it on your back to do a squat. You might have dumbbells, which is one in each hand. Yeah, so we've got one bit of kit in each hand. As we looked at when we looked at our different fitness kit. So lifting heavy weights is, of course, good for not just your lungs, but also your joints and your muscles as well, providing that we're doing it safely. Yeah, making sure that we're doing it safely. Now, it's usually women over the years have been a little bit sort of apprehensive to try weightlifting because they're worried about getting broad shoulders or looking sort of masculine, or blocky. I've heard it referred to as, I don't want to end up blocky, or I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And really, that doesn't just happen by accident, guys. It doesn't happen from lifting a few weights. It's a really dedicated lifestyle to get to that point. Women in general tend to not really have the hormones to get to that point either. So a lot of the people that look like that on purpose. It was a famous Arnold Schwarzenegger quote where people used to say to him, "Oh, I would never want to look like you," and he used to say to them, "Well, don't worry, you won't." It doesn't just happen by accident. So weightlifting and doing resistance training, sort of working against the resistance of the weights, whatever that looks like, kettlebells, whatever, is really good for your joints and for your bones. Yeah, so it can actually help prevent like osteoporosis and stuff like that. And at the same time, depending on sort of how much rest time you're giving yourself, how hard are you pushing, you can actually burn more calories than just through pure cardio anyway. So you'll actually burn more calories lifting weights potentially than doing, 45 minutes on the treadmill or whatever. So lifting weights is it's a viable option in one way, shape, or form to most people. I think that the biggest barrier is weights tend to be expensive to get hold of, to have in the house. And if you do get hold of them, you've got to know what you're doing with them. And of course, the only other alternative really is to go to the gym. Yeah. So that is kind of, it's a good place for us to start, because weightlifting is brilliant for all different types of fitness, especially the sort of different ways that you can do it. But, not ideal for everybody. So what else have we got on there, guys? What else have we got? So number 8 was 2 teams, 11 players in a team, is of course football. So again, something that I played a lot of growing up. And like I say, I've always had decent fitness just from playing football 3-4 times a week. I wasn't going to the gym and I wasn't going out specifically on a night and going for a run and stuff like that. I was just playing that much football, that I was getting my fitness through that, really, and even now, even if it's not 11 aside, we can do, there's 5 aside, there's 7 aside games. I know in Sunderland and Durham, obviously Sunderland, that's where most of you guys are, Sunderland way anyway, a good bit further north than I am, and then of course Durham, where I'm more closer to. I know that there's sort of like, you've got Soccer Arena and Goals and AstroTurf, where you've got like little leagues going on and friendly games and stuff like that. And we've even got something that you might have heard of already, but if you haven't, it's called walking football, and it's for people who are a little bit older, who maybe don't have the knees for running around for 60 minutes anymore. But there's dedicated leagues around the country being set up and already set up for this walking football. So people who love football and haven't been able to have got like a route back into the game now as well. So you don't have to be thinking about, oh, you know what, I'll never get on the local team these days. Start your own team, find a local league, play some friendlies, whatever it is, and again, I'm sure these places will have their own social media pages, their own Facebook pages, where you can keep an eye on and see what deals are on, maybe even find out if teams are looking for players, or they're looking for new teams, and you can pick your own team yourself maybe. But there's there's so much option out there. So again, maybe you like the sport and the competitive side of exercise, where it's not just lifting weights and going to the gym and all of that sort of thing as well. So football is a good form of exercise as well. Number 9 across, we've got includes breaststroke, front crawl, and butterfly, and that is of course swimming. So different styles of swimming, if you've ever come across them before. And of course, swimming's the biggest bonus for swimming that I would say is the fact that you've got resistance, as though you're almost working against really, really light weights for the whole time. It's like lifting light weights for the whole time, because you've got to work out a little bit harder to push yourself through the water. You're working against that water resistance. But whereas when you're walking, running, whatever it is, all of your weight is on you because of gravity. When we're in the water and when we're in the swimming pool, some of the water actually takes some of that weight, so it can help our joints. It can take some of the strain off of our joints and our muscles. And again, just make the whole process a little bit more comfortable. Maybe if you're doing, if you've tried doing other things and you found it to be quite painful or uncomfortable, swimming is, like I say, really, really good for most people, to be honest. Even if you're not swimming, even if you're just wading through the water, you've got that little bit of extra resistance. You're working that a little bit harder as well. So swimming, again, this time last year we didn't have swimming baths available. If you wanted to go swimming this time last year, you're in the river or the sea. Also not, as I say, not advisable this time of year, but you see groups doing it, and there's a lot of health benefits to it. But you're not gonna catch me in the sea or in any open water at this time of year, guys. So again, do we know where our local swimming baths is? Do we know what other swimming times are? Do we know how much it would cost to go along? All stuff to sort of keep in mind, especially as we're coming into these winter months where it might be a little bit too cold and too icy. Maybe it's to go for a run, go cycling, maybe even go for a walk. It only takes a little bit of black ice, and you can turn an ankle or something like that as well. So maybe swimming could be a good sort of alternative for over the winter months. Where you can come out and get yourself, like I say, properly dried and stuff before you've got to come outside again as well. Like I say, also didn't have access to this time last year. Let's make the most of it and at least explore those options and find out, what it would cost. What's the deal? Is there still any sort of COVID-related guidelines that they sort of recommend or asking people to stick to still as well? Certain amount of people in the pool at once. It's all handy to know, guys, isn't it? Okay, so we're on to 7 across. 7 players. Each player has their own position. No walking when you've got the ball. So that is netball, guys. And I know that there's netball leagues in the Northeast. I mean, nationwide, but I know of a couple of people who actually play netball in the Northeast as well. Mel being one of them. So, like I say, the leagues are out there, the sort of facilities are out there to use them as well. So again, exactly like the football, and there'll be another couple on this list that fit into the same sort of category. Can we have a little bit of a look on Google and social media and find out, okay, where is the nearest team to me? Where's the nearest hoop if I wanted to go along and just practice by myself or whatever, anything like that. I'm thinking about sticking a basketball hoop up, just to stand out the back and stuff like that, because it doesn't have to be competitive sport. You can go with a couple of friends, find like a local hoop or one of those almost sort of like caged in. It's not a play area. It's like a court. It's like a caged in court. It'll tend to have a football goal at each end and a hoop above them, and then sort of surrounded by railings. Find where your nearest one of them is and go down with a couple of friends or whatever, and shoot some hoops, have a bit of a catch up. Again, stuff that we couldn't do this time last year. Okay, so moving on. So on to the down questions then. So one down, a bit like walking, but a lot faster, is running. Yeah, so running can be really good for your heart and for your lungs. Again, coming back to those different different heart rate barriers that we looked at, depending how hard you're working, is going to have different effects on the body, when it comes to especially stuff like running. One thing I do say with running is, because fitness is one aspect of fitness tends to not really cross over to another really well. So if you are doing lots of running, yeah, you're going to get fitter and your lungs are going to be healthier and your heart will be healthier as well. But the only thing you're really getting better performance-wise is running. Now, if you're not training to do something like a Great North Run or a sponsored run, or maybe you just like running, it's an interesting hobby that a lot of people live their life by. But if that doesn't interest you, and running doesn't interest you, this, that, and the other, then don't force yourself to do something that you hate, especially when it comes to running. Every time you're running, that impact, because you've got both feet off the floor at the same time when you're running, you get a lot more impact on your knees, your ankles, your hips, that it's going to sort of transfer up into your lower back as well. So it's not the only way to lose weight. And I've definitely seen and spoke to people who kind of think that is, or it's the best place to start. Or I'm going to go for a run to start getting some of the, start shifting some of this weight, or to get healthy, or whatever it is. I'm going to go for a run to get moving. And it's lads my age that are sort of no heavier than me even, and they've been running for 10 years now, since we left school, since we left college, and their knees are shot. Their knees are shot because they've been running and just pounding on concrete and tarmac and stuff like that for years and years and years, when all they were trying to do was keep on top of their fitness, which could have been done other ways, So like I say, if you're training for your fitness, if you're training for running, then by all means, do as much as you want if you enjoy doing it. But don't feel as though that's the only option there is for you to get moving, because there's so much more you can do that's got less impact on the body. Even walking and swimming, will have less impact on the body than running. So again, just think about, you might love running, totally fine, go crazy. But just think about why you're doing it, think about why you're doing it. And is there something else that's going to be less impactful on the body, depending on your own circumstances, maybe as well. So a little bit of something to think about there, guys, as well. But of course, running, it's really good fitness. You've only got to look at somebody like, of course, Mo Farah, or even, Usain Bolt. He doesn't run far, but he does it quick, or he did it quick, So yeah, you can burn a lot of calories through running. You can certainly get your lungs and heart working as well. But yeah, just if you don't like running and you're not trying to get better at running, just think, do you really need to be running? Especially at that cost as well, at the impact. But something to think about there, guys. Again, if you've got any questions, drop me a message. I'll hopefully be able to point you in the right direction anyway. Okay then, so 2 down, you can score 3 points if you shoot from far away, is basketball. So not necessarily a huge sport over here, but I think it's slowly getting there. It's slowly getting there. I've noticed a bit of an upturn in interest this side of the pond, and I think almost like I think what they call, I'm not even going to say it actually, but football over in the States and over in America is really taken off as well, So I think especially with streaming services and passes where we can watch each other's leagues and stuff like that, these sports are picking up a little bit more in countries where they haven't really up to this point. But yeah, basketball, it's really, really good fitness as well. You don't see many overweight basketball players. A lot of them are really sort of athletic. And even the ones that do look as though, they're not as fit and as fast as the rest are just, really, really so much fitter than sort of your general public, the training that they do, the conditioning that they do. But, even just the sport itself, I find it really good fun. I find it good fun to watch as well as sort of play when I can, as much as I'm absolutely terrible at it. But yeah, it's good. It's good fitness. Like I say, there's good reason why it's a sport where you can get substituted off for a couple of minutes and then come back in. You know, it's so fast paced, and it's like I say, it's good exercise. It's a good team sport. At the same time, you can go by yourself, and even better, if you're no good, then you're going to get more exercise because you're going to have to run and get the ball because you keep missing, you know. So like I say, again, just like the netball, if you've got a local hoop, you can go around by yourself or go around with a friend or two, you know. And like I say, it beats sitting in the house, it beats sitting on the couch, you know. Okay then, guys, so number 3, exercising on a bike, is cycling. So like I say, guys, you've just got to look at, you know, some of the guys that do the Tour de France and stuff like that to realize how good or how fit the best of the best are, you know. And I mean, I guess the same could be said for any competitive sport, really. But you know, when you think about the miles that they do in the Tour de France, in fact, I'm going to have a look and see how many miles the Tour de France is. Tour de France distance. See how far they go when they're cycling. So, modern editions of the Tour de France consist of 21 day-long segments over a 23-day period and cover about 2,200 miles. So, I'm not even going to try and work that out because maths is not my strong point. But it's a long way, guys. That's a long way to go. You know, over what, 3 weeks? With not very much rest. It's just crazy fitness, guys. And that's why, you know, we've even got these stationary bikes in the gym now where some of them, you might have even seen them. Some of them even have like a little screen on these days where you can play games, or you might have like a track and it tells you how far you've cycled, or, you know, you get them now where it plays pictures of the countryside like you are actually cycling outdoors as well, you know. So exercising on a bike, it might be actually getting on your bike and going outdoors, you know. Again, it's a little bit harder over winter where it's icy and slippy and stuff like that as well. And you know that you're not just sort of taking off sweaty clothes when you're done. You're probably going to be wet and dirty and minging as well. But you know, again, each to their own. If you like cycling and the winter doesn't and the cold doesn't bother you, happy days. Just be careful while you're doing it, you know. But we've also got exercise bikes that are found in gyms, and you know, they're still, or they still can be quite expensive, but you know, I see more people with them in the house, or that have sort of like an exercise bike in the house, more so than 10, 15 years ago, you know, as our technology is becoming a little bit more cost effective, and a little bit easier to get hold of. You see more of them coming into people's individual homes, especially this Peloton. You've maybe come across Peloton before, and that's kind of linked into the answer for question 5, which we'll get to in just a second. So we'll come back to that point actually. But exercising on a bike, really, really good fitness, good for your heart, your lungs, and your leg muscles, and your bum, of course, as well. Number 4, Latin, salsa, ballet, all different types of dance. And dancing, guys, is as good a way of burning calories and stimulating a bit of muscle as any. You know, again, if you look at professional dancers and stuff like that, most of them are in really good shape. You know, they'll eat a diet that sort of supplements that and encourages that, you know, like high protein, high carbohydrates, probably quite low in fat, their diets. And you know, you've only got to, we've all done it where we've been to a wedding and we've got up and had a bit of a boogie for our first time in a while, and you know, you catch yourself and afterwards you're going trying to catch your breath because you've had a really good dance, you know. Maybe it's on a night out when you're having a bit, like, again, having a bit of a dance as well. Have to go and have a sit down and have a minute, or go outside and cool down and stuff like that. It's movement, guys. It's activity. It burns calories, just the same as walking does, running does. But you know, again, there's that enjoyment factor as well. Like I'll sometimes, when I'm cooking tea, I'll stick some music on, and I'll not even realize I'm doing it, and then Alex will come in and catch us dancing in the kitchen. And again, I'm not doing it for exercise, but it certainly doesn't hurt to be moving. And at the same time, it's really helped through lockdown, because apart from going out for a walk or exercising in the house, it's been amongst, you know, the most movement that I've got into my day, you know, bar running the hoover around or dusting something, you know, and I can tell you that dancing's a good bit more enjoyable than doing the household stuff as well. So again, dancing really enjoyable, you know, even if you do 10, 15 minutes while you're doing the hoovering or whatever, you know, channel your inner Freddie Mercury and, you know, I want to break free, get a bit of a dance on while you're doing your household chores as well, and just get that extra movement in there and burn those extra calories as well, guys. And again, you know, can we have a look and see, are there any dancing sort of groups local or dance classes that you could go along to do, you know? Again, you see lots of people that don't want to go to the gym or don't think the gym would be suitable for them, or, you know, they would just rather do something else. And again, kind of like the walking and football, there's no age limit on it as well, you know? It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter sort of how good you are at dancing, you know, how much coordination, how much rhythm you've got. You can still go and you can still do it. There's nothing stopping you, you know. Like I said, dancing in the house, or if you want to take it that little bit further, can you get a partner or a friend or something and go to some dance lessons? You know, again, it's just different ways to get movement in, and if we can make it into a little bit of a hobby, it makes it so much easier to stay consistent at it, guys. Because if it feels like a chore, it's always going to feel like an uphill battle. Okay, number 5 then, we've got stationary bike fitness class. So bikes in the gym that don't really go anywhere. Not kind of like the bikes I was on about just a minute ago, but they actually have specific bikes for this class. And it's a spin class, or called spinning. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you've come across it before, maybe you've seen it. And what it is, it's cycling. Obviously, the bike doesn't go anywhere, but you're cycling, usually to the beat of the music, and you have like a little dial on your bike, and the more you turn the dial, the harder the resistance gets to pedal against. So the more you turn the dial, the harder you're working to pedal, especially when you're trying to keep up with the beat of the music. So that was one that I actually used to teach myself, and I used to really enjoy teaching spin, because as much as anything, I've always thought of myself as quite musical. So for me to be able to pick my own songs that I like, or my own music that I like, and plan classes specifically to that music, it's not music that's just on in the background. The music is part of the class. You know, on a chorus, you might drop all the resistance off and just sprint as fast as you can on the bike. And then for other songs, you might turn the resistance up as high as you can. You might be standing up out of your seat, and you might be like really using your weight over the pedals, you know, to get that extra sort of push, to go against that really high level of resistance. And it's so good for your fitness. And this was one of the reasons I was actually struggling to put any weight on. I was teaching 5 or 6 spin classes a week on top of my PT and on top of other classes and stuff like that. And I've never been a big eater, so I couldn't get enough food in to offset the calories that I was burning in a spin class. But again, you know, different instructors will do it differently. So just if you've been to one spin class and didn't like it, you know, don't let that ruin spin for you in general. I could say that for any class. You know, it might be a MetaFit, it might be a body pump, or whatever. Just because the instructor wasn't right doesn't mean that the class isn't right. You know, so again, don't be necessarily. I think everybody could find an instructor that would help them get the most out of themselves and out of their own bodies. It's just a case of how far we look, how hard we have to look, and how hard we're willing to look, you know, before we start to explore some of these other options instead, you know. But I used to really enjoy teaching spin, and yeah, kind of, it was one of those that was always, again, keeping me fit without me needing to say, right, I've got to get on the bike and do like 45 minutes of cycling now. Like, no, I was getting it while I was having a laugh with everybody in the class, and we had good music going and stuff like that. And I actually used to take song requests. So I'd say to people, right, give us a song, and over the next week I'll work out a spinning track for it. You know, so even the members were listening to the tracks that they liked as well. Okay, that was 5 down, a couple more to go. 1 foot in front of the other can usually cover 3 miles in an hour is walking, guys. And I imagine that if there's one of these that we know relatively well after the last 8. I, for one, at a point got sick of going out and just doing the same walks over and over again because, you know, COVID and restrictions. We couldn't jump in a car. I couldn't drive over to Hampstead Forest and walk around Hampstead Forest. I was walking around where I live, around the same streets, say the same people, like day in, day out. But, you know, it was kind of a means to an end, and we needed to keep active through a time where we were sort of biting the bullet, and for the sake of other people, more vulnerable people, for the people that we love, and for the NHS, you know, we were in a position where walking was kind of the safest way to exercise, other than just doing some exercises in the house. And again, if you don't know where to even start with that, you know, it was walking on nothing really. You know, cycling. Again, if you had a bike, if you were fortunate enough to have a bike, and, you know, knew how to ride it, and had the want to do so as well, you know. But again, we have been really restricted, and a lot of these that we're talking about so far, we haven't been able to do, or we wouldn't have been able to do this time last year. But walking, of course, was a really good way of keeping active, keeping fit. I actually know people who pre-COVID would go to the gym like religiously 5-6 times a week, whereas when COVID kicked in and gyms closed, and then they were open, and they were closed, and they were open, then you had to book a slot and all of this. I actually know people that took up walking and just haven't gone back to the gym. You know, they enjoy getting out and seeing the nature, seeing the countryside. You know, we've got some beautiful countryside around us up here in the northeast. Something that, you know, I think to an extent is really easy to take for granted because it is on the doorstep as well. But, you know, we've got some beautiful walks, we've got some beautiful places to go, and, you know, a lot of us are lucky enough to have, you know, places that we can go and walk to get that exercise straight out of our front door as well. You know, so again, really good way of keeping active, good way of keeping mobile, especially in terms of endurance, because you can do it for a few hours. You know, it's good for your overall fitness and your overall cardio. So again, you know, it's something handy to fall back on, and it's something that I'll be doing a little bit more of over winter. Again, when stuff like I say, cycling, going out shooting some hoops or whatever, it's not as easy to do over winter when we haven't quite got the weather to do it. But walking, really good way of just spiking that heart rate up and keeping it up for quite a while as well, depending how far you're going. Okay, last 2, 7 down. You need an oval-shaped ball to play this sport, is rugby. So rugby, again, something that growing up, I didn't think I had a great following in this country. And then I sort of left school and went to college and realised it was just the fact that I grew up in a household where nobody was bothered about rugby, you know, and I just happened to have friends growing up who weren't bothered about rugby either. I was very much raised in a football household and had football-related friends, because most of them I met or grew the friendships through playing football with people, you know. But rugby, I remember doing a little bit of in sport, and of course, there's a little bit more of an incentive to keep moving in rugby, because if you stand still or you're not fast enough, you're going to get absolutely probably, you know. And I was always sort of quite nippy, you know, being you know, quite short and quite slim. I was always quite light and therefore quite fast, so I was quite hard to catch. But, you know, if one of the bigger lads did tackle us, I pretty well felt it, you know. I definitely knew I'd been hit. So yeah, again, it's not for everybody. Like, maybe you have grown up and had no interest in rugby, you know. Maybe you have always been interested in it, but you don't know where the nearest place is to play, you know. Maybe you've only watched it. But like I say, I was quite surprised to realize how many even just people that I'd come across eventually when I was working in gyms and stuff like that, how many of them ended up, or how many of them were into rugby as well, you know. And again, there's leagues, there's non-competitive leagues, there's all sorts that you can do. If again, you might have never got into it, but you might want to explore it a little bit, you know. I again, for all the football that I grew up absolutely adoring, I at one point discovered basketball as well and really, really like basketball. So just because you like one sport, why not explore another one as well? You know, some people, you know, would just prefer to give rugby a go rather than certainly the gym or you know football or other ball sports and stuff like that. So again, there's facilities out there, there's teams out there, there's matches out there, and you know again, if you want to just get yourself a rugby ball and take yourself over a field with a mate or two. You know, you don't have to have a referee and a full match and stuff like that, winners and losers and all that jazz. Okay, and then the last one is a small green ball, 2 rackets, and sometimes played on grass. So the last one is tennis. Yeah. So again, these racket sports where you're not moving very far are so much more exercise and so much more energy intensive than you might realize. I certainly got the shock of my life when I went to play squash with my dad once upon a time, because you know you don't know where the ball's going to go until your opponent hits it, and then you've got to react to that, and you know usually sprint to get yourself into a position to knock it back. So it's not like when you're running and you've got that sort of consistent pace and you can get your breathing down, you can get into that rhythm and just, you know, one foot in front of the other. It's very stop and start. It's very, right, go for a very quick, short burst, a couple of seconds, and then, you know, recover, but not for very long. And then you're moving again. So it's very, very stop start. And I was absolutely done in after not very long either as well. So, you know, racket sports, like I say, squash, tennis, badminton even, you know, with a shuttlecock, you think it's one of them where you think it looks like, you know, you hit it, it floats up in the air and you've got plenty of time to move to get yourself into the position. But if someone hits that at you, if someone like absolutely wellies that, you know, like you would with a serve or something like in tennis, you know, you need good reaction time and usually good fitness to get yourself into the right position as well, you know. So again, there's leagues out there for tennis, but I know that there's badminton, I know that there's squash as well, and there's probably more as well that I can't even think of right now off the top of my head. But look, guys, we've got so many different options these days, and again, you know, now we are at the point where more and more of us are getting vaccinated day after day. Hopefully, we can, you know, feel safe going and doing these things a little bit again, you know. I'd be quite interested to actually, if any of you out there have gone back to a sport that got knocked on the head through COVID and through lockdown, you know, netball, football, whatever it might be. Once COVID or once restrictions have been lifted, have you gone back to it? Is it good to be back, or you know, have you been tempted to explore other options as well that are there now? As well, have you maybe moved on to something totally different now for fitness? You know, like again, those people I mentioned who used to go to the gym, but you know, have wrapped it in and started walking and stuff like that. So yeah, guys, there's so much that we could be doing, and usually, you know, it just takes a little bit of research, find out where the nearest venue is, and you know, just exploring a couple of other little things, you know, that could be barriers, like how am I going to get there? How much is it going to cost? What's the hours that it's available? You know, can I get there in time? So, you know, really, really handy that we've got things like just Google and search engines and stuff where we can hopefully quickly and easily find this, start to find this information out. Okay then, okay, so spinning on, different fitness classes and different activities. So when it comes to fitness classes, you know, whatever first comes to mind when you think of a fitness class, you know, interesting. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of a fitness class? Because there's so many different ones out there. And again, you know, I hear people saying, "Oh, I've I've tried classes, they're not for me. And I'm like, have you tried all of them, or did you just go to a spin class and you didn't like cycling? You know, did you just go to MetaFit, but it was a bit too intense for where you're at right now? Or did you just go to yoga and you found it quite slow paced and quite boring? There's other options. And again, within different classes, you've got different instructors still that will run it differently. You know, I used to run classes with Mel at Bede College, and the way that she would run a class would be totally different to the way that I would run a class. My logic was, what's the point in me coming in and running a class the exact same way that Mel does when Mel already does that? You know, I'll give people something a little bit different to do. So just because, like I say, just because one instructor wasn't for you doesn't mean that no instructor is for you. And exactly the same with the classes. So what do all of these different classes mean, and what do they actually involve, so we can start to get an idea of you know, what would be expected of us? Because I don't think anybody wants to turn up, you know, and be caught blindsided a little bit, and you know, feeling a little bit like they stand out like a sore thumb or something like that as well. So when we're trying to stay consistent, it's handy to, you know, be mentally prepared for whatever we're going into. So I've spoke about spinning quite a lot already, you know, spinning, cycling along on the bikes, usually to music, and usually to the beat of the music as well. And then we've got circuit training. So circuit training, it's quite a broad term, really. Circuit training could involve a lot of different things, and a lot of what we see marketed and sold as boot camps and stuff like that these days, a lot of them are just circuit training, really. A lot of them are circuit training, and it is, you know, a series of exercises all performed one after another, usually with not very much rest in between exercises, sometimes no rest in between exercises, and you'll just do all of them. And, you know, maybe 6 exercises in a row and you'll just rattle them off that way. And that is, again, up to the instructor. Some circuit training sessions, I would make them full body sessions. So you would have exercises for your arms, your legs, your core, your back. And then other weeks I would make the whole circuit all legs. Yeah, it would be all legs, or it would be all abs, or it would be all upper body, or something like that, you know, give them a little bit of a theme, and just change it up a little bit as well. And again, so many different exercises you can do. You might bring in some more kit, you know, you might be using cones, and you might be using boxing pads and gloves, and, you know, skipping ropes, battle ropes, all of that sort of thing, used quite a lot in circuit training. But the beauty of circuit training is you don't get a chance to rest very much in between exercises or in between sort of rounds. So you can get so much more exercise into a short amount of time because you're not resting. It's not like if you go to the gym and jump on the machine and you do 10 overhead press, and then you sit for a couple of minutes, you play on your phone, you talk to somebody, or whatever it is, you watch the telly that's in the gym, and before you know it, your heart rate's come back down and you've kind of recovered a little bit, and you do your next set, and, you know, you have the same sort of effect again and spike that heart rate back up. But when you don't rest for very long, that heart rate comes up and it stays up. So when you rest for 10 seconds, that's like enough just to get a couple of deep breaths in, and then you move on and you're working again. So your heart rate stays higher for longer. We burn more calories. It spikes your metabolism as well, and gets your metabolism working harder as well. So circuit training to most people, I think would have would be beneficial to them, you know, depending, again, we've looked at components of fitness, and most of them in some way, shape or form can be developed through circuit training. It's just a case of how you put them together. And again, that's going to be up to the trainer as well. But like I say, you might have, you know, a circuit that you do by yourself 3 times and everybody else has got their own, or it might be 10, 20 exercises all in a row and everybody sort of moves around one at a time and does it that way. But yeah, there's a lot of flexibility with circuit training, and like I say, different people will do classes differently. But yeah, you'll get a good mixture of sort of using different kit. So it's a good chance as well to get familiar with using different fitness kit as well, because it's not like going into the gym and you're just trying to pick up the medicine ball and use it by yourself for the first time. The instructor's going to show you before the session starts what he wants you to do with the ball when you get there. And if you're not sure when you do get to that station, you can call the instructor back over again and say, look, what was this exercise again? Will you just keep us right? And then when they're in the gym by themselves, they feel much more comfortable going and getting that bit of kit and using it the way that they have in their circuit. So it's a good way to learn different bits of kit as well, how to use it and, how to put your own training together, I guess. Zumba is very dance orientated, yeah, and I believe Brazilian. I might be a little bit off there with Brazilian, but it's some kind of dance, yeah, that's got like a lot of sort of music going on, and I'm gonna have to look because it's gonna wind us up. Zumba. Let's have a look. Latin was the word I was looking for. Yeah, so Zumba is a fitness program that combines Latin and international music with dance moves. Yeah, it incorporates interval training, alternating fast and slow rhythms to help improve cardiovascular fitness. Yeah, so just like we were talking about dancing when we were looking at our crossword, just like to start the session off, Zumba is a fitness class that is designed around the health benefits of dancing. Yeah, so again, that might be more your sort of thing. And again, coming back to maybe you want to get better at dancing a little bit, work on your coordination and your rhythm a little bit more. Zumba will help as much as, professional dance classes because you're working on your beat, your timing, your rhythm and all of that as well. And you're getting the exercise benefits while you're on, so could be something to try. Again, it tends to be quite accessible for different levels of fitness as well. So again, even if you'd be quite new to it or you haven't exercised or been active in a while, it could be a good stepping in point and getting you moving again. Okay, next one we've got is body pump. So body pump tends to be exercises that are designed around doing lots of repetitions on a low weight, so you can manage to do the lots of repetitions, because obviously if your weight is too heavy, you won't be able to get as many repetitions as you need to because your muscles will tire faster. And the idea is, of course, to get your heart rate up, keep it up, but to be stimulating that muscle as well while you're on with it. So body pump, I got a bit of a shock actually when I came and did my first body pump. And if anybody ever came along, certainly if anybody was there, I did my first body pump class with Mel at Bede College. So I actually came through to meet all the members because I was coming in to help Mel out and cover a couple of the classes. So she wanted me to meet all the members while she was there. So I came along, I did a body pump class. Mel introduced me to everybody. And here's me thinking that I'd just hide at the back of the class and sort of watch people and get a feel for it. Mel dragged me to the front of the class next to her. And, I'd never done a body pump class, so I didn't realize what we were going to be doing. So I was used to doing, I don't know, let's just take bicep curls, for example. I was used to getting me weights, doing 10 reps, put them down. Yeah. Maybe it's 8 reps if I was trying to go a little bit heavier. And then we got to this one track in this body pump class that was a bicep track, and we were doing bicep curls. But this track must have gone on for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And my biceps were used to doing 8 reps, put the weight down, rest for a couple of minutes. Not used to 2 or 3 minutes of constant reps through different ranges, do the top of the range, do the bottom of the range, do full range. And they were just burned out, man. I was suffering so bad. I was calling Mel all sorts under my breath at the front of that class. And because I was at the front of the class and trying to set a good example, I was determined not to make me weights any lighter as well. But I did go in at the deep end, not knowing what to expect. And I did pick weights that were too heavy, guys. So again, I think it's handy to have an idea what to expect going into it. Expect light weights, lots of repetitions, and you're probably going to work the majority of those muscle groups each session. You know, we used to have a track where we would do our legs and then our shoulders, and then a track where we would do you know, we would do our chest or our back or whatever it might be, or our abs. And again, just using really, really light weights. So again, could be a good chance for you to, you know, work on technique, because the weight's not too heavy, and get that technique right, and get a few pointers off the instructor as well. So when you are coming into the gym by yourself, you feel more confident doing these exercises, and maybe even putting a little bit of extra weight on there as well, you know. Okay, MetaFit, we've got, MetaFit tends to be quite a short class, but really quite intense. So you might work really, really hard for 20 seconds. You know, you might do 20 seconds of squats, and then you might rest for 10 seconds. But then you might do 20 seconds of burpees, which is working your legs, which you've just been exercised through your squats as well. So 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. It doesn't give you much rest at all. So like those really, really short intervals mean that you can work harder in those intervals. Yeah. They reckon that your maximum output you could probably maintain for 11 or 12 seconds, maybe. So 20 seconds is enough to push as hard as you can and really hit burnout at the end as well. Yeah, so that's the aim of it. And the whole point, the whole theory behind the approach of MetaFit is to, again, spike your metabolism, get your body working, get it kicking in and into overdrive where you're still going to keep burning calories even once the class is finished. Yeah, so that's one of the big benefits of MetaFit. Again, it wouldn't be a class that I would say maybe start with and jump in with, but it's something good to sort of build to. Okay, then after that we've got Aqua Aerobics, which it's not one that I've ever taught, but it's one that I've seen taught and always looked quite fun actually. It's so if we were doing exercises or just movements or thinking about sometimes it's dancing even in water though. So we're doing it in water. So again, thinking about one of the main benefits of swimming in general is of course the water takes that weight off your own system, off your own skeleton really. So again, if we're dancing in water, we're not getting the impact from, you know, stepping, jumping, whatever it is that we might be doing, while we're also, you know, working a little bit harder because we're working against the resistance of the water in every single little movement that we do, you know. So we're going to be working, you know, a lot of extra muscles because we're working against the resistance of the water as well. And that like I say, that always did look quite fun, Aqua Aerobics. You know, there's usually some music going on, and of course your instructor tends to be at the side of the pool rather than in the pool, so everybody can get a good view of what they're doing, and then the people in the pool just sort of copy along. And yeah, really, really good exercise, and that could be a good one to jump in with. That could be a good one to tackle if you've got like some niggles or some injuries that you want to be cautious with, or even just want to help you build up your confidence and, you know, get you used to this sort of idea of coming to a class. LBT stands for legs, bums, and tums. So three key areas or three main areas that people have wanted to work on and improve. Especially again the ladies and the women over the years that I've worked with over in the gyms. You know, if I would say to them, give me three areas that you want to work on, it would be legs, bum, and stomach. Yeah, so this class is designed to target those three areas and help, you know, define those muscles and strengthen those muscles as well, and just help, you know, help with that little bit of like tone almost, I guess you could say, really, you know, but helping with that muscle definition and helping really target those muscles rather than, you know, being a full body workout. It's a little bit more of a targeted class, just like an abs class would be. You know, you go along that abs class, you're expecting to do a lot of core exercises, you know, if not nothing but core exercises, you know. So yeah, legs, bums, and tums is out there. again, guys can go and do it. I've taught this class, I've done this class, and again, it's a different sort of feeling, because a lot of these exercises are done to isolate a muscle and make it work by itself, rather than a lot of these other classes are just designed to get as much muscle working at once as possible, because that uses the most oxygen and therefore the most calories. Yeah, because your body's working harder. Whereas leg bums and tums are a little bit less intense in terms of crazy heart rate, and sort of not really getting much chance to rest. But we're isolating those muscles and making them work by themselves, so they will still get tired and they still sort of be burning out towards the end of a set, or specifically. So with yoga, I've picked this up a lot more during lockdown and saw a lot of the benefits for it, actually, in terms of flexibility and mobility and being able to, move, working on, I'm always going on about my footballer's hamstrings that are really tight, and I find that my posture's improved doing yoga, and it helped with the mental side of things as well, especially through lockdown. I feel as though a little bit of mindfulness and a little bit of something like yoga, where you have chance to actually be with your thoughts and think about your thoughts a little bit, I found that to be really helpful as well. So yoga, as much as it's fitness, it can be a really good sort of mindfulness sort of approach as well. So again, like, yoga's really taken off. From the way I see it, yoga's really, really taken off in this area in the last 5-10 years. I might be wrong, and it might just have been that I was never looking for it. But I've worked in a couple of gyms that have gone on to bring in yoga instructors, or lease out part of the gym to yoga instructors and stuff like that, to be a yoga classroom. And it's really good for, like I say, your posture. It's good for your muscles, because you're helping them stretch but also be stronger, so you're helping them stay sort of supple, which helps avoid injuries and tears and strains when you sort of make sudden movements, and helps you avoid throwing your back out doing stuff like tying your shoelace and getting in and out of the car and stuff like that. I found that sort of my movement and my posture's loads better from doing some yoga. And again, there's different facilities out there, there's different places out there, and there's plenty in the northeast alone, so you can have a look into that. And you know what, guys, you can even do them at home. You can even do them just like I've been saying. I've been doing them through lockdown. I've been going onto YouTube, typing in yoga, maybe yoga session for tight back if my back's felt a little bit tight one day, or yoga session for a peaceful mind or something like that, whatever it might be. There's different sessions and you can find them. So again, yoga session for bad knees, it might not necessarily fix the bad knees, but it'll take the bad knees into accommodation, and it should give you exercises where you're not going to get any pain as well in those knees. So again, quite flexible. It's quite a broad term, yoga, and it can apply to sort of a lot of different movements and exercises and stuff. But I would say definitely well looking into and explore that a little bit further as well. And then the last one that we've got on there is it's stability ball. So it's like a stability ball class. So maybe you've seen them in gyms. They're like a big inflated sort of balloon. Yeah, they're usually silver, blue maybe, and like I say, they're inflated. So it's you can almost use it as like a prop. You can sit up and pass it to somebody else, or you can even sit your bum on it and do sort of like ab work from there. And I've actually seen these used in offices now instead of desk chairs. So you sort of your center of gravity, and it helps keep you moving throughout the day, but it helps your core stay engaged as well, because you're trying to keep your balance. And there's classes that are based entirely around using these stability balls as well. So again, have a little bit of an explore, have a little bit of a look into them, and see what sort of stuff that it is that we're doing. Again, these can be really good for sort of posture, core control, and good movement patterns and all of that sort of thing. Whereas I think some classes sort of encourage you to just go all out 100%, but to the point where you're not thinking about your technique and your breathing and stuff like that, which can sometimes be counterproductive, especially depending on your fitness level. Like I say, I find that certain classes have a higher sort of injury rate than others, that's for sure. So think about your own fitness where you are right now, and think about sort of what we've been through when we've talked about these different classes, what they involve, and maybe sort of try and get a bit of an idea of what might be suitable for yourself. Yeah, what you might enjoy doing. But there's so much out there, guys. There's more than is even on here. Like I say, you might find boot camps, you might find insanity classes, you might find I know that there's a company called Skinny Pigs, and they do their own classes as well, which will all have different names and all of that sort of thing as well. So, like I say, there's so much out there that you can explore. Don't be put off by maybe one bad experience with a class that you didn't like or an instructor that you didn't like. There's a little bit of something out there for everybody, guys. It's just, finding it, locating it, weighing up things, like I say, like cost, transport, equipment, and all of that sort of thing. Like I say, there's never been a better time than ever to explore, because especially with this sort of thing, a lot of classes will either in December, because a lot of people stop thinking about their fitness in December and the gym goes out the window and the diet goes out the window as Christmas gets closer. So a lot of classes will maybe give you a free session, or they'll put like an offer on in December where you might get double the amount of classes for the price. Like you might pay 20 quid and get 20 classes instead of 10. Whatever it might be. And then in January as well, the other side of that is they know that everybody's looking for, or a lot of people are looking for exercise and fitness and these classes. So that, again, they put deals on to stay competitive and hopefully bring people into them as well. So keep your eyes out when it comes to fitness classes and deals. Keep an eye out December and January. For maybe there's a couple of steals that you might get away with that might just help you get into these or sort of break through some of these barriers as well. Okay, so we've been through most of them, but just to recap, and again, so the slide's on for a few seconds, or if you come back through and revisit this, obviously the slides will be here for you to have a little bit of a read through as well, rather than needing to listen to the whole session again. So spinning is an indoor fitness class on stationary bikes. Each bike has the small dial on it where you can add resistance. Tracks can include sprinting on the bike where resistance is low, intervals where resistance varies through the track, or climbing tracks where the resistance increases and is quite high throughout the track. Body pump, as we mentioned, is a barbell class choreographed to music, designed to work all muscle groups. Yeah, so tracks are going to include a warm-up, squats, chest, back, tricep, bicep, lunges, shoulders, and abs. Yeah, so all of them body parts are going to get hit in a body pump class. Legs, bums, and thumbs exercises designed to tone and sculpt those areas. All classes are a little bit different, and you might use a range of equipment such as resistance bands and small weights to make things a little bit harder as well. Circuit training, usually 10 stations are set out around the room. Each station is a different exercise. Some use equipment and others use exercises. Everybody chooses a station to start on, and then after a timed interval, it is a short 30-minute fitness class using bodyweight exercises only. It's called MetaFit because it raises your metabolic rate and heart rate by alternating between working upper body and lower body. Yeah, so you might do an upper body exercise, then a lower body exercise. Okay, yoga is a class aimed at controlling breathing, simple meditation, and the adoption of specific body postures. Yeah. Zumba is I should look at this slide. Latin, an aerobic fitness program featuring movements inspired by various styles of Latin American dance and performed primarily to Latin American dance music. Aqua Aerobics is the form of exercise in water which provides cardiovascular conditioning, so heart and lungs, increasing your pulse and your breathing rate. Aqua Aerobics also helps to strengthen the body because the water offers resistance. Yeah. And the stability board is a class aimed at strengthening the core through a range of exercises using a stability ball, like crunches, leg raises with the ball between your feet, leg tucks, and that sort of thing. So there are many fitness venues in the Northeast, but of course, what is local to me will be different to what is local to you. So can you think just off the top of your head, just while we're on, of a couple of facilities that are nearby to you that you might have access to? You know, it could be a big chain gym or an independent gym. It might be a community center. It could be outdoor fitness sessions that are going on somewhere nearby. It could be a group. It could be a walking group. It could be schools, sport halls and stuff like that, you know, where classes might be held. Again, do you know what is local to you, what's available nearby? What facilities are each of them? Do they have tennis court, football court, studio classes? A gym? Is there a cafe? Childcare facilities, maybe swimming pool, a shop on site, personal trainers to give you sort of advice and guidance. Consider as well when you're exploring different venues, and if you are going to commit to a gym or a membership somewhere, a leisure centre, these are questions that you might want to ask yourself. And again, think about, what do you want and need within your fitness, and what facilities and equipment do you need access to? Okay, guys. So just before we finish up for the day, just want to touch on the importance of warming up and cooling down, because the new workbook that we are moving on to this week, which is in the description, we are thinking about taking part in fitness and making sure that we do it safely as much as anything. So making sure that we're keeping ourselves and other people around us safe while we are taking part in exercise and fitness, because like I say, the aim is to be consistent. The aim is to make it a hobby and a lifestyle change, and we can't be consistent if we're constantly picking up injuries or putting ourselves at risk. You know, injury can happen in a gym, and you know, real extreme circumstance, worse than injuries can happen in a gym as well, guys, as well. So we want to make sure that we, you know, think about our health and safety when we're in any fitness environment. And again, any workout that we do, we want to make sure that we've warmed up, and that we cool down afterwards as well. So what do we do to warm up, and why is it so important? So a warm up should be done before each workout. And just 5 minutes of warming up can get your body ready to exercise and help reduce and prevent injury. So we're getting your muscles warmed up and loosened up a little bit, your joints, all of that. And you know, we're much less likely to strain a muscle because they're warm. A colder muscle will strain easier because it's not as happy to stretch and move, whereas a warmer muscle is a little bit more compliant. Yeah, so you're much less likely to hurt yourself once you've done a warm up. So warming up should gradually raise your heart rate and could include dynamic stretching. So dynamic stretching is what we call stretches that you're sort of moving throughout. So it might be, you know, where you'll see footballers stand on the spot and they're twisting side to side, that sort of thing, or, you know, arm circles, get those muscles warmed up. That's dynamic stretching. Yeah. Static stretching is picking a pose and holding it. So a static stretch would be pulling this across and holding it. That's a static stretch. Yeah. So when we're warming up, that's not the best time to do our static stretches, because what we're actually doing, we're stretching a muscle. So when we go to do our exercise, it's easy for that muscle to stretch further than it should. Yeah, because we've already stretched it. So your shoulder might come into a position that it shouldn't, and you might end up causing yourself pain. And it's what we call a hyperextension if your body goes, or a joint goes further than it's designed to. So dynamic stretches to warm up, guys. It could be a lower intensity version of what you're about to do. If you're coming in to do some bench pressing, you know, you might be thinking to yourself, right, I'm going to do some press ups to warm up, or I'm going to do some bench press with just a bar and not put any weight on it. You know, like I say, a lower intensity version of what you're about to do. If you're about to do some heavy squats with a barbell on your back, do some body weight squats to warm up, get those muscles ready, you know. Don't warm up muscles that you're not going to use. I've seen people come in and they'll walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes. I'm doing my warm up. Then they'll go and they'll start doing bicep curls when they haven't warmed their bicep up at all because they've just been walking. They haven't used their bicep for anything. So a lower intensity version of what you're about to do, really lightweight, fewer reps. Or it could just be cardio, guys. Like I say, depending on what it is that you're actually going to be doing. For your workout, for your exercise. Sometimes a little bit of cardio is enough, marching on the spot, cycling, skipping, that sort of thing. You actually see, again, footballers and a lot of athletes doing this on the sidelines now, either marching on the spot, running up and down the touchline. It could be a little bit of cycling on the stationary bikes, or even skipping. We see a lot of skipping in like the likes of boxing and martial arts and stuff like that as part of warming up as well. So or sort of like those contact sports and those combat sports, sorry. So we're thinking dynamic stretching, a lower intensity version of what you're about to do, or a little bit of cardio that's applicable to whatever it is that you're going to be doing to actually complete your workout. Then we've got our cool down, guys. So we've done our warm up, we've done our exercise, then our cool down comes at the end. So cooling down allows the heart rate to return to its resting rate. Yeah. When we exercise, our body pumps a lot of blood to the muscle that is being exercised, and we kind of just want to help our body regulate that and help it balance itself out around the body. And with your exercise done and out the way with, this is the time to do your static stretching. Like this gentleman's doing here. He's reaching up above his head. He's pulled on the back of the elbow, and he's getting a nice stretch down that tricep. Yeah. So that static stretch where he's just going to hold it for 20, 30 seconds. He's going to do it, or we can do it once the exercise is done. And like I say, it's going to help protect your joints, help you not be as sore the next day as you would be if you didn't cool down, and can help relieve a little bit of tension as well. Because of course, when we're training, some muscles will tighten up. If we're always tight and we're never stretching, we're going to end up with bad posture and muscles sitting in a position, a shape, or at a length that they're not designed to be at. We end up with more tension and worse posture. It'll become a little bit of a vicious cycle as well, guys. So although we wouldn't do it at the start of a session, that static stretching and stretching in general really does have its place in helping us keep sort of quite limber and keep mobile as well. Okay, guys, so that wraps up everything that we needed to cover for today. We will come back to the idea of warming up and cooling down next week because, like I say, we will be looking at how to make sure that you and others are participating safely in exercise and fitness as well, so we can be consistent. And of course, we're thinking about our health. The last thing we want to do is put ourselves in physical danger and in the way of physical harm, as well. So we've got to stay safe, guys, and we can dig into that a little bit more next week. As always, please don't forget to fill in the survey. And we've got a new workbook this week, so we're actually going to be looking at pages 2 and 5 in the Taking Part in Exercise and Fitness workbook. Have a look at those, start to get familiar with that workbook, have a look through, fill in what you can already. And then, like I said, next week we'll be back, same time. We'll be next Wednesday, 10 o'clock. And we'll be, like I say, we'll be looking at participating safely in exercise and fitness and some of the stuff that involves. Maybe looking into the health and safety aspect a little bit as well, guys. Okay, so I'll let you lovely folks get on with the rest of your day. If you're watching live, I hope you have a good rest of the day. I hope you have a nice afternoon. And of course, if you're catching up later on in the week, I hope we're all having a good week. And making some inroads with our presentations as well, guys. So from now, we can start getting those one-on-ones booked in. If your presentation is ready to go, give me a shout. We'll do our one-to-one Zoom. You can talk us through your presentation, and we can get that booklet signed and done and sort of boxed off sort of thing, and go from there. Okay then. Okay, so we will leave it there then, guys. Please don't forget to do that survey. Drop me an email if you need anything. The workbook's in the description, but let me know if you're missing any so far. And of course, try our fitness session for today's that's attached to today's session. See how you get on. It's a little bit longer than some of the others as well. So, you know, if you're fancying a little bit of a challenge, try that one. If you're fancying something that's a bit of a different pace, just follow that link to the YouTube playlist and, you know, take whatever you fancy today. Any movement is better than no movement, guys, even if it's just stretching. So try and keep moving, try and make use of these videos that's up on the channel, and try and keep as active as possible, guys, because as much as we don't like to admit it, Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming, guys. So let's get ahead of the curve. Let's get, you know, let's make sure that we hit the ground running and we're in a little bit of a routine by the time all of those distractions start to come along at that time of year. So yeah, guys, we will be back next week, same time, next Wednesday at 10, and we will keep the ball rolling. I'll speak to you in the meantime if needs be, and as always, if not, I will catch you guys next Wednesday, same time, and we'll be back to do it all again. Okay, guys, everybody have a good day. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and I'll see everybody back here next week if I don't hear from you beforehand. Cool. Stay safe, everyone. Catch you later. Bye.